What's up, guys? My name is Ivan Valdovinos, and I create videos on graduate school life and advice. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. In today's video, I am going to share one final statement of purpose for the Harvard Graduate School of Education. For this application season, this will be the last example I provide, and then I'm going to shift to just general tips and then next steps after you have submitted your application. Deadlines are approaching soon, and so I wanted to give you this final statement of purpose. That way you're able to finalize your statement of purpose. It did not take long for me to realize that a wide range of academic levels were present within my kindergarten through 8th grade classes. Test scores corroborated what I already intuitively knew. I am teaching students in the first percentile and the 99th percentile. To make things even more challenging, I am teaching students in 50% English and 50% Spanish because I teach in a dual language school. It can be overwhelming for one teacher to try to meet the diverse needs of students. My colleagues have constantly been the ones to collaborate with me to address student needs. School leadership has been intermittently helpful. 4 years of teaching in this context have endeared me to the mission of excellence and equity in public elementary schools. It has also shown me that we need better school leadership in order to organize that excellence and equity. I am applying to the Harvard Graduate School of Education School Leadership Program in order to become an elementary school administrator and to pursue my academic interests of bilingual education, gifted education, and school finances. So in the first paragraph, the opening paragraph, the student, the applicant, speaks about their experience as a teacher in a public elementary school and how that led to his career goal. So at the end, he ends the paragraph with explaining what he wants to do. He wants to improve leadership in elementary schools, and he wants to join the school leadership program in order to become a principal and tackle some of the issues that he has seen in bilingual education, gifted education, and school finances. So at the beginning, he talks about his career goals and what has led to those career goals. Simply put, my objective for graduate study is to become the principal of a public elementary school. I want to be an elementary school principal in order to be consistent, unifying force in a school community that might otherwise be in flux. In 4 years of teaching in Chicago public schools, I have had 4 CEOs, 3 principals, 4 assistant principals, and 2 Chicago teacher union strikes. Even in my first year, I was sought out by principals, teachers, parents, and students to help solve challenging problems. I was asked to coach sports, teach difficult subjects, serve on committees, work with rebellious students, and finally to join the instructional leadership team. My mentor teacher was the first to ask about me. My mentor teacher was the first person to ask about me becoming a principal. Since that validating moment, I have been preparing myself for principalship by reading research and policy, learning from veteran teachers, and meeting with my former professors. Now that I have 4 years of rigorous teaching experience in an urban public school, I am confident that I am on track to becoming a great principal who unites parents, faculty, outside organizations, and students in a common mission. I want to become the principal of a Title I elementary school and stay there for decades of collaborative, equitable, excellent education. But first, I still have more to learn. In the next paragraph, he even titles it Objectives for Graduate Study. So here he talks about why he wants to pursue graduate study. So he talks about some of the challenges he has faced as a public school teacher. He talks about how he has had a bunch of different administrators come in and out of the school that he was teaching. And then he talked about how he was overworked and asked to do more than just being a teacher. And so that led him to seek out more information about being a principal. And eventually he ends this paragraph by stating that he wants to become a principal of a Title I elementary school. And then he talks about what he plans to do by becoming a principal. So he wants to work on having a collaborative, equitable, excellent education. And then he ends with a brief statement saying that he needs to learn more, which to me, it's telling me that his next couple of paragraphs are going to be about what he wants to learn at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. I see studying full-time at HGSE as a strategic continuation of what I have already learned from the conversations taking place on Appian Way. I have listened to every Ask With forum dating back to 2009. My favorites from recent years include Jose Antonio Vargas' courageous questions about immigration, Chancellor Carmen Farina, tremendous example of school leadership, and Dr. Noam Chomsky's visit to HGSE on the 45th anniversary of Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Additionally, in preparation for graduate school, I completed 2 Mass Open online courses from Dr. Paul E. Peterson of the Program on Education Policy and Governance. While some may consider it be counterproductive to take a hiatus from teaching, I want to spend a year of intense scholarship at HGSE because I have already been a student of HGSE for several years now. So this paragraph is actually really unique. I haven't seen it yet in any of the Harvard Graduate School of Education statement of purposes I have read, but he talks about his involvement in HGSE. So if you haven't researched this yet, HGSE does offer, I call them they're like these workshops, these talks called Ask With forums throughout the year when you're a student. And so they bring a bunch of guest speakers, obviously in the education realms and different topics. And most of these speakers are prominent in the field. And so as you can tell, the applicant here talks about 3 of the ones that he has watched, and they record these. So I suggest that you go look at some of the Ask With forums just because it gives you a little taste of what it's like to be a student at HGSE. And so I think this paragraph is really unique because it's telling Harvard, that admissions committee, that he is very invested in being part of this community, and he's done work for a long period of time, and he's watched these videos. He has also enrolled in a couple of MOOC courses, and he ends by saying that he has been a student for several years. So it's showing his commitment to the university and I guess the graduate school. And I think that's a unique thing to add to a statement of purpose. I want to study in SLP because of its flexible curriculum and the opportunity it provides for collaboration. A principal earns his or her title by being the principal teacher of the school. To prepare for my vocation as a principal teacher, I would like to become an expert in education. As I noted before, my academic interests are varied: bilingual education, gifted education, and school finance. After consulting the core curriculum and SLP alumni, I am most looking forward to these relevant courses: Dr. Paula Uccelli's H813 Bilingual Learners, and Dr. Lee Tatel's A397 Leading for Equity and Diversity in Integrated Schools. My favorite aspect of SLP's flexible curriculum is the opportunity to cross-register in another graduate school. For many educators, our focus is only on collaborating with other educators. I want to cross-register in another graduate school in order to invite future leaders of business or law into the mission of education. Dr. Rosabeth Moss Cantor of the Harvard Graduate School often quotes the African adage, "It takes a village to raise a child," but reworks it for our contemporary challenges by saying, "It takes a cross-sector, multi-stakeholder coalition to raise a child." Cross-sector collaboration starts with relationships. One of my main goals is taking a business or law class would be to befriend a classmate and start that cross-sector collaboration. Another opportunity for collaboration within SLP is, of course, with other educators. I think it is a natural tendency for students to focus on camaraderie in the present, start together, study together, and graduate together. But what happens when the SLP cohort is no longer together? My focus within the SLP cohort would be to find a way to bind us together for life after graduation. This long-term focus would undergird every relationship I have during the 9 brief months on campus. So this next paragraph is very focused on the specific graduate program at Harvard Graduate School of Education he's applying to. So he speaks detailedly about some of the strengths of the program and some of the things that he wants to enroll in and engage with in order for him to gain the skills he needs to be an effective elementary school principal. He speaks about two of the courses he wants to potentially enroll in. He talks about cross-registering at other graduate schools like the law school and the business school. And then he speaks about how he wants to engage in the cohort-based SLP program and how he wants to establish a long-lasting connection with his cohort. In order to communicate the background of my commitment to work in education, please allow me to return to the introduction in which I described my teaching context. What did I do with such a wide range of academic achievement in one classroom? First of all, I had to address the students at either end of the spectrum. I started documenting academic and behavioral accommodations in order to improve individualized education plans, 504 plans, and behavioral plans. Simultaneously, I started a gifted program to focus on accelerated math and reading in each student's second language. Students in the middle percentiles were able to benefit from the mainstream curriculum, but more resources were always needed. To make up for this lack of resources, I recruited parent volunteers, visited student homes, fundraised to buy materials, and invited guest speakers into the classroom. Through the process of responding to a student needs, I discovered my main academic interests: bilingual education, gifted education, and equitable school finance. In this next paragraph, the reader talks about his background, as you can tell up here where he put background. He talks about how he was able to address some of the wide range of academic achievement in his classroom. And some of the things I do like about this paragraph is he talks about starting a gifted program and then also like fundraising and showing that initiative to help his students succeed. I think a big part of the Harvard Graduate School of Education and what they're seeking in their applicants and potential students is they want to have people who are able to tackle some of the hardest education challenges and addressing those. And so they want to know that if they do invite you to be a student, that you are able to take that initiative. And so by stating some of the ways that in which you are able to address some of those needs and what you've done to address those needs, is going to show Harvard committee that you are a well-suited student for the graduate school. And so this student here, he discusses how he started a couple of programs, how he started fundraising so he can meet those needs. I am a bilingual educator because I speak two languages and believe that more Americans should too. We are at a juncture where many of our country's schools are still learning best practices for teaching English language learners. Latino Americans just surpassed Black Americans as the largest minority group. Census data also shows that more and more Americans born outside of the United States speak a language other than English. Here in Chicago, the public school system has responded to the burgeoning need for bilingual education by creating 15 dual language programs. Nationwide, the number of dual language Mandarin programs tripled from 1995 to 2005. These facts, pregnant with political repercussions, help to convey the increasing importance of bilingual education in the United States of America. I see opportunities for growth in bilingual education towards two population demographics: continuing to improve our instruction of ELLs and drastically improving our instruction of foreign language to monolingual, English-only students. I see great potential with SLP to continue my preparation to lead a linguistically diverse 21st century American school. So in this next paragraph, he talks about his interest in bilingual education and helping English language learners thrive in public education. Something unique about this statement of purpose that I haven't seen yet is citing different sources. So you're not obligated to cite anything, but within this one, it's definitely a strength because he's showing like the need for transformation of bilingual education for students who are born outside of the United States. And so that's a unique take on the statement of purpose. I empathize with students who are bored by the scope of pace of their classroom's learning because that was my experience as an elementary school student. Dr. James Borland of Teachers College, Columbia University, greatly impacted my thinking with his contention that gifted education is a form of special education. When the mainstream curriculum does not meet a student's needs, it must be tailored as a matter of human rights. While it saddens me to not see a single HGSE course on gifted education, I hope to pursue gifted education through the internship component of the school leadership program. Why do I want to study finance at HGSE? In short, because money greatly influences educational outcomes. My first day as a teacher, I was expected to report to the picket lines to protest for a fair contract in the 2012 Chicago Teachers Union strike. Nothing proves that money influences education quite like watching more than 50 schools get shut down, 2 labor strikes, and $200,000 cut from school budget. I see school funding as a means to change the opportunity gap, which exacerbates the well-documented achievement gap. As a school principal, I will need to understand the finances of our increasingly in-depth public school systems. In SLP, I hope to brainstorm with colleagues about equitable school funding strategies to compensate for schools being asked to do more with less. Thank you for your time. So in these last 2 paragraphs, the applicant continues to describe his interest in gifted education as well as finance, and he again uses some sources to back up his claims on why it's important for him to tackle this in the SLP program. At the end, as you can tell, he puts down his references, and yeah, so I think that's unique about this statement of purpose, is using references to back up his claims and his needs for being at HGSE. My overall assessment of this statement of purpose is that it's really unique in the sense that it does provide some data to back up some of the reasonings behind his need to be at HGSE. And he also breaks down his statement of purpose by like putting headings, which I haven't seen ever in a statement of purpose. So that strictly tells the applicant, the committee, here's, my objective for graduate school, here's my background and why I'm qualified to be in this program. And so I think that's unique to the statement of purpose. And I think he also did a great job of, I can feel his passion for, gifted education, English language learners, and finance. And so he uses a lot of good wording that helps bring across that passion, and it makes me want to accept them.